Hi, this is Stephen with Fairs Management Interactive, and this is a quick video note for Christina and the Cafe group. What we're looking at right now is a login to an library site for Cafe. Let me go ahead and log in. So in addition to the individual Fairs Management Interactive or Fairs MI sites that each fairground gets, there's also an accompanying association library. Now this is just a temporary version, but it shows as we scroll down here, you'll see we have, here we go, CNE, and this is all their buildings and their outdoor areas. Here's Calgary with with some outdoor areas and their buildings, the big four hall A and their roundup hall and things like that. Now we've got Expo Cité, and we've got the complete collection of every one of their building plans. But typically in this scroll down here, an individual fair will have outdoor areas, an entire map, and then also divide up into smaller areas that are for specific use. And then it will also have the building plans. And in addition to that, you include in this drop down interim events specifically dedicated to events other than the fair. Let's go ahead and look at one of these plans. Here's the CNE's plan, and you'll see as we zoom in, it's pretty good resolution. Now this one was done, as was all the cafes, way back in 2008, and the resolution now that we generate is much better. So when we do a cafe library, we're going to want to redo all the outdoor maps. And the indoor maps that we already have done should be pretty good. It's very easy to edit them for any kind of architectural changes that have been made. Now, in terms of what this outdoor map may look like for a fair, I'm going to go to my File menu. And what I'm doing in this video note is showing you things other than the tools. Now, we're going to use the tools for a few things to show you some parts of the planner, but mostly we're going to look at the area of the planner outside of the actual tools for planning. But let's go ahead and look at this just to get you started. So what we're doing is we're loading up their fair. And as you can see, Mike Knott has done a tremendous job of laying out all of the concessions and rides and other types of planning objects, booths, various things. And you can see that there's all kinds of images. They're all to scale. And you can see that there are lots of different types of objects, including rides. And here's some other things around here. Now all these can be moved, they can be edited, they can be changed, and you can do simple vendor booths and assign the vendor into each booth. But how do we get all these different shapes and everything? Well, it's called an icon system that we've created. And here's a list of icons. Now I'm going to go down through the list real fast, but there's essentially geometries and colored types of symbols that you can put in there, including very specific symbols for safety things. Now there's real specific things like gooseneck trailers and campers that you can lay out there if you're doing marshaling yards for a rodeo. There's some actual examples of rodeo arenas, and there's pole barns and things like this that you can do some planning for master planning. But now you can see here we've got some safety and other kinds of traditional symbols, handicap, ADA type of things. Now I'm going to go really fast through these other ones, and these are all things that have been sent in to us as requests. So if you have an object that you need to plan and plan around its very specific geometry, you can. Right now you're looking at some alphanumeric icons, so you can actually label areas of your fairground and then assign a key to it. Now, here we go. We're into the rides, and we worked with 3 different ride manufacturers to get the specifications for these very specific rides so that you can plan them into your planner here. Okay, so we've looked at this. We've looked at our different outdoor areas. Let's go ahead and look at some of the building plans. So here is the QEC building. Now, as we zoom in on this, you'll see that the way that Fairs MI works, you can zoom in on the drawing and it maintains its clarity. Let's go look at a few more, but we've got quite a collection. You can see that we've got all of the halls at the CNE site, but let's go ahead and look at a few more from some other sites. Here is one of your Calgary halls. Now, you can see that these are very technical drawings that we used resources from the fairground, but you can actually draw with very simple ways. Let me see if I can look at Regina Park. Now, its name has changed many times, but I know it as Regina. So here's one example we have for them, the Eventplex. Pretty technical drawing, but a lot simpler as you saw from the other ones we have. But let's look at some other ones we have from them, like Banner Hall. It's very simple line drawings that we've traced their PDF files or their illustrations to create. So in terms of hesitating, in terms of your facility doesn't have a real good source for floor plans, we take care of that. We can create from a sketch, from even rough pencil drawings, some very good drawings of your facilities. So now we mentioned that 2 things. We mentioned that fairgrounds have their own individual login, and we also mentioned the difference in clarity. I'm going to pick up one of the grounds that may not be great because it was off of Google Maps in 2008. So here's one. It's of the entire P&E facility, and as we zoom in, you can see that it starts to break down. Now, it's great for planning. You can still do scale drawings, but in terms of the real clarity, it's not there. But now, in 2019, I'm going to go, here's the Benton County Fairgrounds. And I chose this for 2 reasons. One is that the examples we have right now for Cafe are all the large fairs. But where Fairs MI really shines is for your small fairs that are struggling to get their revenues in. They really need to fill out their interim events schedule to create the revenues they need, and Fairs MI is exactly the tool for that. So Fairs MI does 2 things. It creates, let me log in here. It's able to complete the complexity that you saw in Mike Knott's planning and to follow through on all that, but it's also easy to make a very efficient planner so that creating the interim events for these small fairs now suddenly become profitable. But let's go ahead and look at Benton County. So now when we zoom in on them, you can see that the clarity suddenly becomes strikingly clear, and the detail that you can create for planning. So keep in mind that Fairs MI isn't like a bookkeeper for your event. It's a site planner that combines the interests of the infrastructure of your facility and the actual event itself, and creating a physical site planner so that all the various categories of workers and responsibilities on the fair can coordinate between them. Let me go back in. Well, let's look at one of their plans. So here's the auditorium we did. Semi-simple. Here's their carriage house. Very simple from some information they had. But this is kind of funny. Here is what they had provided us, a sketch that they had available for their floral courtyard, and we converted it. And here's what it looks like converted. So again, we can create some very good examples for you. All right, so now let's go back to our cafe example. And let's look at some other things we have going on, because it isn't just for event planning. Let me go all the way up to the top here. Let's look at some utility maps. Now here is an Arizona fair, and you'll see for the utility maps we kind of darken and black and white the maps to make the color coding easier. And they had some proposed as-builts for a parking lot, and they were able to coordinate it with some plans they had and provide them to us. So here we're doing some utility drawings. Now, we have Polk County in Oregon, a very small organization who did not have anything as sophisticated as those county maps. And they were able to draw those areas of utilities for us, and we could use that to draw. So here's some really simple things, but this gives them the ability to do their planning. Now, one of the other things that can be done here is that you can drop in icons that give the coordinates, the very specific coordinates for very critical areas on your utility. So if there is a water main break or an electrical breakdown, you can go to those icons that you place on this map and then use your GPS to locate exactly where those areas are, but this will keep track of them. Here's something else. So here is what the CNE utilities look like. So we've got some site labels. We've got all their underground electric systems. We got their fiber, PMS fiber systems, their irrigation lines, their consumer gas. I mean, so we can do anything you like. Now, even more interesting is another map they did later on with us, where they used their emergency response planning. So on this one, they've got their utility map, but here they've done their emergency response. So here's a EMS cart path, the places where they can take those carts easily. Here's cart paths with limited access. Here's their emergency entrances for the fairground, their regular entrances, their pedestrian gates, their vehicle gates, and then some of their main entrances. And here's barrier positions and their modulock fences. So in terms of a critical response map, here's something that they can provide their emergency services before an event, allow them to study it. Because keep in mind that this planner you can make available not only to just your internal staff, but if you have an event that is handled by a third-party contractor, you can provide them access to these floor plans and allow them to use it, or you can give them access to give this access to a police or to EMS or to firefighters and allow them to study some of the particulars of your facility in advance of a big event. Now here's an extra service we do here. This is a 3D visualizer that we did this for the X. We've done it for Expo Cité, and we did every building, every outdoor area, every entranceway. So you have three-dimensional views of not only inside a building. So here's the hall. Now what this does is really cuts down your coordinator's time in terms of meeting with a client. They can, over the phone, show them floor plans with our planner, allowing sharing a screen with them, or show them what the inside of a hall is. So this eliminates that phone tag, the canceled cancel meetings where a client is supposed to come, they don't show up, and then you have to do it all over again. You can do this meeting over the phone and get this work done first. Let's look at an exterior of this, and this is the outside of their BLC hall. And this lets the people that are delivering equipment and things like that get an idea of the outside area that they're coming to. And here's a delivery entrance, and over here on the map on the right, it shows where you are on that map to your viewing angle and position, so that you really get a sense of the building if you've never been there. We did the same thing for small facilities. This is Polk County again in Oregon. It's a very simple thing, but it really accomplishes a lot when you need to very quickly give somebody an idea of the access to that. And again, for a small venue that needs to be efficient in terms of creating interim events, shows that hall again. Let's go, just for fun, let's go ahead and go to the CNE three-dimensional view, or the 360 view. And you'll see that we've got every hall here. Let's go ahead and look at their Hall A interior. That was the one we just looked at, but we've got every hall. Let's go ahead and look at their BLC. Let's go ahead to their Queen Elizabeth Hall, their exterior tour. So this shows every side of that building, and we went through that. But we did all their parking lots. It's a very simple view, but here's lot 1, and really gives a good understanding of what's available in that lot when you combine it with the planner. Now what we did do is we went back during fair time and we shot their midway. Here's their midway from the Ferris wheel view, where we got up there in a 40-foot boom, 60-foot boom actually, and we looked around at the entire fairground during fair time. Now we did this from several different points of view, and we looked at some of their outdoor areas. Here's their Rib Fest. Again, we did it all from a 60-foot boom, so we could look around and see the actual layouts and where the trees were, and really be able to review how that is. So anyway, as we look down at this planner, I just wanted to let you know, I want to show you the tools and how they work, and the planning tools, but I wanted to have you get a good idea of the planner itself. So right here we've got the drop down, which in your case for Cafe would include every one of your member fairs, with all of their buildings, all of their outdoor areas included. You could make this available to strictly just members, or you could make this available for the public, or for qualified viewers, say third-party contractors or your carnival contractors, people like that. Whatever you want, is you can make it open or you can make it password protected to get into this comprehensive library. And we do this pretty much with every association that we create a strategic partnership with. We've done this with the Arizona State Fair. We've done it to some extent with the Oregon Fair Association. I'm sorry, we've done it with the Arizona Fair Association. And so we'd like to do it with Cafe. Now, here's some of your other tools. This tool right here, the booth layout, allows you to lay out automatically groups of booths. So you can put in how many booths in a row, what the booth size is, the number of aisles, the width of the aisles, and the orientation of the numbering and the direction. And the starting number, hit a button and it automatically numbers all these. This will also allow you to do this for banquet tables in what we call an X pattern, so you can do different patterns. The single booth control here allows you to edit the individual booths. The exhibitor data does just that. It gives you individual data about the vendors. The sales planner is where you go into individual objects and label them. The services is where you generate your inventory list of exhibitor lists or booth inventories from the size of booths, the square footage, either by sold or the entire layout. And then you've got your files. These other two we use sometimes, but not so much. So I hope this just gives you a quick start. There's one thing I did forget, and this is the measure distance, which allows you to measure very accurately distances and square footage. But I hope this gives you a overview of some of the parts of the planner other than the tools. I look forward to giving you all a tour of how some of the the planner tools specifically work. But this is just some background information. We do this often with our clients. We do video lessons and video notes because typically our event professionals, event coordinators, show managers, fair managers are very busy, and by creating a video note, it allows them to go back and look at some information at a time that it's their convenience. So this is Stephen with Fairs Management Interactive, and hope this is useful. Thanks so much.